Richard, let's go back a few years to the early 1970s. You're part of a three-member comedy troupe that got fired from the Playboy Club. Tell me about that experience. What happened?
Roll that tape back. Wait a minute. First, we have to go. We have to say, we'll go back to the early '70s. Ooh. Then you say three-man comedy team, and I go, woo, wrong decade. That was in the '60s.
Now, is that true that you were doing a gig at the Playboy Club and the first night didn't go too well?
I'd say, yeah. We were at the Playboy Club in New York, and we did a routine, and they were offended, and there were a group of either Mormon or Presbyterian or Baptist ministers. Why they were there at the Playboy Club? Research. I don't know. But they were offended by our material. We ended our gig.
Now I think it's almost in Trivial Pursuit that you have a small appearance in the film The Graduate. But I was wondering, how lucrative was that small part financially, and what impact did it have on your career?
It actually had quite a bit of both. It made me $1,000 because it was 2 days' work, and I got to know Mike a little bit.
Now, have you ever had any regrets about the roles you've turned down? And let me mention two movies. One is Jaws 2, which I imagine they probably were willing to throw a lot of money at you to do, and All That Jazz.
Of course, I'm not sorry about Jaws 2. I mean, that's kind of like sorry about not falling down a flight of stairs. No. And they weren't even willing to give me the money to balance that out. They once asked me how much I would do it for, and I named some credible figure, and they turned me down, and they went and made the movie without me, and they said, well, how could you have asked for that much money? And I said, well, you're making a career breaker here. You're going to have to make up for all the films I'm not going to make after I make this movie. All That Jazz, ultimately, I did regret. Regardless of the problems that caused me to leave the film, ultimately, I would have liked to have worked with Bob Fosse. And I'm sorry I didn't.
Lost in Yonkers now, doing a film version of a Broadway play. I remember when Chorus Line came out, there was almost an air of snobbery with a lot of people saying, well, I saw it on Broadway and I paid $40 to see it, and it's better than the film, which cost $6. Do you have a sense that there may be more people looking over your shoulder doing the film than as opposed to doing the play?
No. More people will see a movie in its first week of release than the longest-running Broadway hit in history. I don't think of it that way at all. I mean, first of all, let's put something into its context. It has been a normal, business-as-usual thing for shows in New York to become movies. It's only lately that that's rare. But for 50 years, people have been doing this. That's how movies become movies. They find plays that are successful in New York. So this is the oldest tradition you can find.
I know a few people who collect antique automobiles, and I think they're more protective of their cars than they are of their children. And then you go by them, and they go, no, don't touch that, don't touch that, be careful, you got any sharp objects on you? And they're very, very paranoid. Now, in this film, working around those cars, and you drive a very rare automobile, was there a little bit of maybe paranoia on the part of the owners when you were there?
Well, no, because even though all over the country, as I say this next sentence, you're going to hear people laughing and vomiting, I am a very, very good driver. I'm a very safe driver. I know what you're thinking. There are people in LA and Canada right now that are just choking to death. And I took very good care of that car. A couple of scrapes, nothing big. But no one was really worried.